Welcome back. Episode 4 of PUSH511 Radio. Today we are joined by another coach at PUSH511, former Army Ranger, former paratrooper, current PUSH511 endurance coach, Coach Joe Caraccio. How you doing, man?
Thanks, Jarrett. Thanks. It's good to be here. Really quickly, my paperwork from my agent didn't get faxed through, but this is part of the stipulation for me being here. So this hour with Coach Joe is brought to you by Fruit by the Foot, 3 feet of fun. Go ahead and pick up your Fruit by the Foot at your local grocery store and have 3 feet of fun. Good to be here. Good to be here with you, Joe.
I'm going to assume that's going to cross all the legal check marks. I'll forward that to our lawyers to make sure that...
There's a few more that I have. My sponsors just need to make sure they're mentioned throughout. It'll be fine, though. I can sprinkle it in.
I completely understand.
I don't need to be prompted.
I will try to get as much out of this podcast for everyone as possible. As you can kind of tell how this has already started, this is not going to be easy. But for the sake of trying, let's dive right in. I'm afraid to even ask this question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Just a quick backstory of who you are, what brought you here, and just a little bit about who you are.
That's a really good question. It's a very broad question. What specifically do you want to know about me?
Well, let's go back. Let's start way back, because I've heard some stories about your poor mother and stuff she had to deal with as you as a child and how much you tortured her. So, real quick, tell me what you were like as a kid.
That's one woman's opinion, by the way.
Tell me what you were like as a kid. Is it pretty much as just a smaller, beardless version of now, or?
Yeah, I was going to say, that kind of depends on your definition of child or kid. Some might say I haven't quite evolved yet to man, maybe man-boy or boy-man, bearded boy-man. I'm trying my best, which is, I think, a lot, as much as we all can do. As a child, I'd say, this might be surprising you, probably pretty high energy. Spent a lot of time in timeout, a lot of time sitting outside the classroom, grounded a heck of a lot.
I believe that.
Yeah, grounded a whole lot.
So it sounds like, and I'm sure we'll get to this point, that your experience at West Point mimicked a lot of your experience as a child.
Oh, yes, a lot of time in timeout. I was grounded a lot.
Yes.
At West Point as well. Yeah. I had less fun, though, at that stage of my life. I would say a lot less fun. They were more serious than my mom and dad were, I think.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Even though both of your parents both did go to West Point, correct?
They did, yes, they did. Dad graduated, mom went there for 2 years before transferring over to my other alma mater, University of Maryland. So, yeah, they both attended.
Did you play any sports when you were a kid?
I did. I did play sports. I played a whole slew of sports. I think I pretty much dabbled in just about everything. Baseball, basketball, football, soccer as a little kid. Definitely come from a generally athletic background where always involved in team sports. I didn't like track. I went to track practice once.
Strange for the current endurance coach.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
It was not.
There's you don't talk to anyone. How are you supposed to practice like that? I had nothing to do. My mom sent me to ice skating lessons once, but she sent me with my brother and sister, and I was I'm the oldest, and I was the oldest kid in class by my brother was the next oldest,
yeah,
and he's 3 years younger than me, and then the next oldest was my sister, and I was so afraid that kids from school would see me there that I would skate onto the ice, and as soon as I saw my mom leave, I would skate off the ice and hide until she came back, and somehow the ice skating teachers
allowed this.
Yeah, they didn't they didn't hold me. Now as a father, I'm looking back, I'm there was a child unaccounted for at every ice skating.
However, knowing you now and assuming what I would have imagined what you were like then,
very
teacher probably had the same idea and said, class is better off with him just over thinking he's hiding behind
You're
the
right.
boards.
Like, he thinks he's slick.
He thinks he's so smooth.
Right over there.
Yeah,
he's playing NBA Jams on the arcade game. Yeah, I know where he is. Okay, that's fair point. Fair point.
Very, very much so.
Okay.
So, you torture your poor parents. You think you're hiding from the ice skating instructor as you're growing up.
True. Yes.
Graduate high school. Do you go straight into West Point from there? Did you take any time off? Or
I did. I went straight to West Point after graduation. I like to point out that I went straight there. My brother needed a little extra schooling before he went there. So, Jeff, if you're out there on the webs listening to the PUSH511 podcast, just remember, I got right in.
And your what was your experience like there? I mean, I'd imagine that physical fitness and was a big part of what was going on there. So was that a little different than anything you had experienced prior to that? And
yeah, honestly, it was on par with like past experiences. Like I said, I grew up pretty active, so it wasn't like a culture shock in terms of being fit or what kind of things I had to pass. A lot of fun challenges. One of my favorite things to look back on is like the indoor obstacle course. I think I talked to you about that before.
Yeah.
Like a really cool little test that still to this day I think of as like the worst 3 minute. It's like Fran on steroids for me, right? It's like you get that Fran long times 5 because the gym definitely had asbestos everywhere that they made you run it in. So a lot of great challenges. I played intramural sports throughout my time there. Was not a good enough athlete to continue my athletics into any of their D1 programs. So did some intramurals. So stayed fit that way, and then obviously I had to meet all the military requirements as well. So definitely a lot of fun to kind of continue that journey, and it kept me disciplined, I think, for the most part.
That's good. And you mentioned playing a little intramural sports, and we're going to circle back on that later with some of your current ventures,
yes.
And I'm sure you're really
love to talk about the pecan
really
Sandies.
Excited to talk about. But before we get there, so when you left West Point, probably in pretty good shape.
Actually, honestly, not in the best shape.
Yeah.
I was not focused as a cadet. So my physical fitness actually went, for the most part, down. Good enough to meet the requirements, sure. Right? Like not great, but I would venture to say from the ages of 18 to how old I am now, 33 years old, I believe, last I checked. I think when I graduated West Point, I was probably at the low end of my physical fitness within that entire span of time. Yeah. So coming into the Army, I deployed. So I did like whatever extra training we had to do, and then deployed right away. And that was kind of a wake-up call for me. Not in terms of like somebody telling me to do so. I wanted to be that disciplined and physically fit person. So like right away, I kind of hopped back onto like being super disciplined about exercise and diet and all that sort of stuff. So I think actually I probably was up to like 190, 195 weight-wise.
And how tall are you?
5'9".
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty big, and it wasn't good weight.
It wasn't a good 190.
Right, no,
it wasn't
not,
like a CrossFit Games athlete 190.
Correct, yeah, it wasn't a Matt Frazier 190. It was like a fluffy marshmallow man 190.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a cute little fluffy guy.
Good hugger.
Yeah, good. Great hugger, great personality.
Great personality.
So right away, kind of wanted to get right back into shape and definitely like snapped back in. I ended my first deployment at like a lean, like right under 170, I think, and it was good. And I pretty much kind of stayed very consistent since then. So yeah, that's kind of where everything kind of took off, I'd say.
That's good. So you graduate West Point, you spend a few years having some nice camping outings under the stars in some different parts of the world.
Sure.
We'll call it that. And then you get out of the military.
Yes.
At what point did you find CrossFit? Was this while you were in service?
I did. So I found CrossFit. It's a funny thing. Like I remember CrossFit in college, actually at West Point. Like the website was up at that point,
Mm-hmm.
so like people were like, check this out. They post workouts
Yep.
and like you do them, and I was like, this seems stupid, I knew a little bit about it. Every once in a while, I'd run into a CrossFit workout, like in the Army. They'd say like, "Hey, let's do Murph or half Murph today," or something. And you kind of do that. But I got into CrossFit when I decided to get out of the military. I wanted to have something that I knew would keep me disciplined with fitness. Didn't have any idea it would turn into the journey that it has.
Sure.
But definitely, walked into a gym first day, knew a little bit about it, was excited, and I probably had done it for the last 6 to 9 months that I was in the Army before transitioning out, and just kind of kept going with it since then. So really, really cool. Definitely has kept a lot of the good feelings I had about the military going forward, into my, I guess, civilian career, illustrious civilian career.
I mean, one of the things I've heard from people who have served is once you get out of the military, it's difficult to find that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that community and that bond, because you spend so much time so close to other people that when you get out, that it's just tough to find that. Did you find some of that here?
It's 100% correct. Yeah. I found it at the gym that I was in North Carolina while I was still down there. Found it here. The CrossFit community is just like that in general. Again, there's something to be said for shared suffering, and CrossFit is
for sure.
It is 1 hour every day of shared suffering with all your best fitness friends. So it brings people close together. You have something that you can relate to people with directly. You get those endorphins running, you feel good. So yeah, definitely a direct link to how I'd feel starting my morning at PT in the morning in the Army. So still stays the same there, which is really important for me.
That's good. That's very good. Now, you're in pretty good shape now, and I've seen you. I've seen, and it pains me to say that, but I've seen you over the last couple of years. Tell me about what hurdles you've overcome since starting CrossFit, since coming to PUSH511, because I've seen you go through some changes where you physically have changed and gotten yourself into pretty decent shape.
Much as the caterpillar becomes the beautiful butterfly.
So, much as one would become a butterfly, what type of hurdles have you faced kind of along the way? And if there was something you wish you knew then that you knew now, kind of what would that be? Something along those lines.
Yeah. Boy, that's a really great question. I honestly, as far as hurdles with CrossFit goes, I mean, I think imagine, if you will, a hurdles event on a track and an athlete running and just hitting all of them.
Every single one.
Every hurdle and
straight
just chipping
through.
And just keep going. That's my CrossFit career in a nutshell. I mean, I had the same issues that anybody has walking into a CrossFit gym for their first time, especially people that tend to think that they're relatively physically fit. Didn't know how to get upside down to do a handstand hold. Didn't know how to kip a pull-up. Didn't know how to hold the barbell to do a snatch. Literally could not snatch grip, get a barbell over my head. So, I really had to build the foundations of movement patterns from the ground up. It came relatively natural. I would say I did have a long, amount of time under my belt just being generally fit.
Sure.
A pretty good powerlifting background.
Sure.
I had lifted consistently in the Army on top of all the regular PT we do, running, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, so there was a good background there. But definitely just basically forgetting everything I knew, eating a nice slice of humble pie, and not being afraid to put myself out there. And to answer your second question, I think that's the biggest thing that I would, and I kind of had it in the back of my mind, but if I could go back, just to be patient and to accept the things I can't do, and know that it's a process to learn them, and maybe not break a hand punching a wall or anything when you can't figure out double unders or muscle ups. Those type of things I'd like to kind of go back and tell myself to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you a lot there. I think a lot of people when they first come in here, and I kind of talked about this last week with Karen, it's really difficult to imagine when you see people moving and moving so well. You don't understand the amount of time that went into getting to the point of moving that well. And I have heard a really similar sentiment from a lot of people is, what do you wish you knew then that you know now? And every single person had some sort of that same story. slow down, listen to your coaches, don't think you know more than you do. That humility would have gone a very, very long way, and perhaps would get people closer to where they want to go quicker than trying to just run through a brick wall and break your hand running through it.
I remember the first time I saw someone do an overhead squat, by the way. I was in a gym in Iraq, and I saw what I would describe as like a scary looking human doing an overhead squat, and I think I was like with my friend, I was like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And now it's like my favorite. So it's just funny where life kind of takes you sometimes.
It really is, and I remember the first time I saw someone do a pistol. That's a one-legged squat for people that aren't inducted, haven't drank the Kool-Aid. And I remember calling that wizardry. I didn't understand, one, how you would do it, and two, if you have two perfectly good legs, why would you? Why would you do a squat with one leg when you have two perfectly good ones? If you do,
black magic. It is
complete wizardry.
Devilry.
And then
what's devilry?
Then I have figured out that movement. Now there are other things. The press to handstand, in my opinion.
What even is that?
The most difficult thing that you could possibly do.
No sense.
It doesn't make no sense at all. So those type of things, you see them do it. You don't see the years of work that goes into it. And the easiest way to get to that point is to just start today and then just keep showing up. If you can just show up and be consistent with something, you will be surprised how quick the time will go by and how fast you can look back and think, wow, I've come very far in a very short amount of time. So
Right.
I agree completely. On a scale of 1 to 10, how weird are you?
Before I answer this question, this next 10 minutes of questions will be brought to you by Gushers. Gushers, taste the blast. Go pick up your pack of Gushers at your local food store and taste the blast. Sorry, you said, how weird am I?
How weird are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
Oh, man. I think the error that you have in asking that question is assuming a linear scale of weirdness. I think mine is more on like an exponential or even like a 3-dimensional scale. Like it bursts out of the side, if you will. I have a lot of issues, Jarrett.
So very.
Yeah, pretty weird.
Very.
There's not those numbers don't. There's nothing on that scale that can accurately describe me in that manner.
What is something that you are not good at?
Oh.
It doesn't have to be CrossFit related. What is something you're not good at?
Man, we have to keep this to about 30 minutes, you said, right?
Yeah, so pick one.
I don't know that I can. I am not good at much. There's nothing. When I wake up in the morning, that might be the only thing that I like feel reasonably assured that I'm good at. Like,
waking up in the morning?
Yeah, like just like kind of like opening my eyes and being like, oh, another one.
And then from there on out, is it basically just kind of stumbling through those hurdles again
imagine
all
becoming
day?
Self-aware for the first time, except like it happens to you every day. That's like my life. I'm stumbling into things.
So, speaking of self-aware.
Yes.
And CrossFit and kind of bringing all that together, you are a new father.
I am.
You are. So you have a small child who is constantly becoming a little bit more self-aware every day.
Big fan of mine, too.
Huge fan of yours.
Big fan of mine.
Wait till she learns.
Oh.
However, how would you say having a kid has affected, for the good, for the bad, or just in any way affected your fitness life and your CrossFit journey in here? Has it changed the way you look at it? Like how is that?
That's a really good question. I think it's kind of like more than anything hammers home some of the reasons why I wanted to stay in shape in the first place. You want to be able to do whatever it takes to be there for your kid. You want to be active with, kids have a lot of energy. Mine just sits there right now. She doesn't do much.
Good 1,000-yard stare.
But I Googled children the other day, which actually sounds bad. Like, if we can do an edit.
Sure, we'll take that out in post.
In post.
Yeah.
I'll let my agent know that I made a goof. No, but yeah, they have a lot of energy. You want to be able to keep up. You want to stay on top of everything that they have going on, especially when they start moving. And then you kind of think about your own, you start to look at your own life and the journey of life that you go on. And I think, towards the end of your life, you want to have that independence where, you're not relying on that child that you now have to kind of like do stuff for you. So, every day that I think that I'm in the gym and I'm doing something good for myself here, it buys me another couple days of independence towards the tail end of my life, where I'm not like asking my daughter to change me, but I've changed her a whole lot. And if you're listening one day, you owe me, and I'll tell you what, it's not always pretty.
And you have been blessed to have a healthy young girl, and she's adorable and everything perfect that she could be.
Right.
And your wife, Lauren, she also worked out and did CrossFit through a good amount of her pregnancy as well.
Up until the last 2 weeks,
yeah.
I'd say, right? Like until it got to the point where she was about to explode. Like she was like, I can't. I'm very uncomfortable. I can't do anything. Yeah, she was great. Bounced back really, really quickly afterwards. So yeah, that it definitely was a huge factor in I think just feeling healthy quicker after the whole thing. I consider myself pretty much a doctor, but there's no documentation to say that, so I don't know how those things work, but I kind of believe in the fitness magic there, and I think she was kind of able to get back to being in good shape and all that really quickly because of what she put in on the front end.
Yeah, I agree, and she was awesome when she was in here because she would work with coaches, find ways to do every single workout and just tailor it to what worked well for her, and modify intensity, modify movements. And I think, and I hope that stigma that has been around for a while, that exercising while pregnant, and I know you and I are the last people to actually be digging and talking on this, and that'll be another episode. But I love seeing and hoping that stigma is kind of starting to change a little bit, that you can work out and everything will go perfectly fine.
Right. I mean, listen to your doctors. Every pregnancy is different, all 100%. That sort of stuff.
Yep.
But we were lucky. We had a doctor that was like, work out until she comes out.
That's great.
And we're like, yeah, cool. We like that.
Yeah. And earlier you mentioned about changing diapers. You kind of touched on one of the reasons, and I have a few that I really, really enjoy coming in here every day. And the selfish thing for me of why I work out, one of the reasons is I do not want to be dependent on anyone when those times come. I want to be able to wipe my own ass when I'm 100 years old and not have to worry about having someone else do that for me.
Do the old Bart, just go out with the bang. You don't want to go out with a long whimper. You want to go out with a bang.
Bart is a member here, and if you are curious about what that is, I'm sure he is a really talkative guy.
He'll tell you all about it.
He'll be happy to pull you aside and chat about it. Before we look to wrap this up here in a little bit, what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about joining a CrossFit gym or in the area, no matter where they are? What advice would you give to them about just getting the courage to come in?
Just two things. I think everything kind of boils down with CrossFit for me to two things. Have an open mind. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable and put yourself out there. I think that the reward that you get out of that vulnerability and not being afraid to look a little silly at first is really, really cool, and you'll feel good about yourself at the end of the day. And two, just have fun. Go into it looking to enjoy yourself, get a little sweaty, meet some people, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, just open mind and have fun.
Last semi-serious question before we allow your personality to come through.
Oh no.
Why are you a coach at PUSH?
Why am I a coach at PUSH? That is a really, really good question. Like I said, your CrossFit journey kind of goes in ways that you don't really expect. I kind of at first thought I was joining CrossFit just to stay in shape. Found that I really enjoyed that community aspect of it. And then when I got my L1, it was more just thinking of like a developmental type thing for myself. Maybe thinking about coaching a little bit at that point, but I think from the minute I started coaching, I really kind of fell in love with the connection you get. I enjoy running through a class, getting people to improve and kind of affecting people's lives in a positive way. So just basically that that connection you have with people and getting to help people. A lot of people say that the hour they spend at the gym is the best hour of the day, and if I get to be part of your best hour of the day a couple times a week, I think that's something that's pretty special.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad. And speaking of coaching, you have gone through one of our coaching programs here. You went through a nutrition program we had here, one of the nutrition challenges.
Yes.
And
shout out nutrition is Karen.
Nutrition is Karen. And you and your teammate Allie were the winners, I believe. Is that correct? Correct. So would you say that nutrition is important despite all the sponsorships that you have acquired along the way?
I have acquired some interesting sponsors.
Interesting for sure.
I would say nutrition is absolutely it's kind of like the deal breaker, right? Like if you come in here and you work out 4 or 5 times a week, you will get in better shape than you were.
Correct.
You absolutely will. I think when you're looking to take things to the next level and really make any sort of leap, both in terms of how you look and feel and move, the nutrition really has to be dialed in as well. And honestly, that's the hard part. I think getting to the gym for most folks is okay.
That's the fun part.
I can do that. Yeah, that's the fun part. And then it's the other 23 hours of the day that you're like, nachos, beer. Like, that's my mind all the time, Jarrett. Nachos, you can get them anytime you want. I'm an adult. So yeah, that's the hard part.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to finish up here with a few speed interview questions.
Great.
But before we get into the fast questions, I would like you to rank your top 4 or 5 Rangers.
Oh, well, this was actually one of my things that you were going to ask. That I think it was like about something nobody agrees me with on. So Rangers out there, off the top, Ranger Joey Gladstone. Great park ranger.
Fantastic.
Funniest guy I know.
One of the best.
Ranger Joe. Who else? Other good rangers. Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger, great ranger there. The Power Rangers, I'm going to pick one. I think I was a Red Ranger guy. He was cool.
Same.
Which one was the one that committed crimes, though? I don't know.
Ooh,
one of them got arrested for something. And one of them died.
I think a couple of them died. Original Yellow Ranger tragically died in a car accident.
Yeah.
Tommy, Green Ranger, and White Ranger turned into an pro MMA fighter.
Good for him. So, don't like that one, though.
But yeah.
He's a Red Ranger guy.
Red Ranger, Jason.
Yeah.
Firefighter just outside of D.C., I believe.
Really?
So still doing the good thing in red.
I'm glad I made that choice.
Correct,
then.
So that was a good call.
A Ranger. There's so many other I would say Aragorn, Lord of the Rings, he was a Ranger.
He was a Ranger.
Hung out in the wild.
That is a very good one.
Yeah.
Where would you rank Joe Caraccio, Army Ranger?
Oh, very towards the bottom.
Very far down.
Yeah, very far down. very far down. Sleepy Ranger. That was probably my, if I was a 7 dwarf, I'd be Sleepy.
So feel free, guys, to add to the list of top Rangers. Joe is always on the lookout for Rangers.
I have a long list somewhere. I wish I would have known about that question in advance.
New York Rangers?
No, not a fan.
Texas Rangers?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Walker, there's one.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Speed questions. First thing that comes to mind. First one's a bit of a gimme for you, and if you get this one wrong, you'll probably be in trouble when you get home. Best thing that happened to you so far this year?
Baby.
Favorite season?
Oh, summer. Summer all the time.
Summer of Joe?
That was the best summer, but all summers are good summers.
Favorite holiday?
4th of July.
Favorite curse word?
I can't say it. It's the C word, but it has to be said. It has to be said with like a Scottish accent, like the Hound in Lord of the Rings. You can't say it. You can't say it how I would say it, or else you just sound really bad.
Correct.
It was Karen's least favorite word.
Correct. So if you want to go back, you can find out, and then.
I think she might agree with me that if the Hound says it, or like Arya Stark says it with like a British accent,
and the fact that you're quoting Thrones will also get you bonus points. Get you bonus points with Karen. Correct. Least favorite word.
Least favorite word. I don't know. What's a bad What's a word?
A lot of people don't like moist.
That doesn't bother me.
Yeah?
It makes me giggle a little bit. Mostly because people don't like it. Let me get back to that one.
Okay. We'll circle back.
Get back to work. That's if we
least favorite sentence.
Yeah, if you say it really fast, it could be one word.
Favorite dessert.
All of them. Right now, chocolate ice cream.
Favorite color.
Man, you ask questions that are so hard because I think variety is the spice of life.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you to take a stand.
I'm gonna go green.
Least favorite color.
Wow, I like them all. They're literally everything in the rainbow. I'm trying to think in terms of like clothing that I would wear. Yellow, maybe. Okay. I would never wear a yellow article of clothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you have a yellow tank, though.
No.
It's not yellow.
I only have a few tanks right now.
It's a burgundy tank with some yellow in it.
That's a Florida State burgundy and gold. Yeah.
Well,
it's very small.
Underwater or outer space?
Oh, God, space. I hate underwater.
Favorite board game?
Ooh. At what age?
Now.
Damn it.
7.
I don't have patience.
7.
I'm going to say Risk. I think I've played Risk with friends a lot.
It's an interesting one.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
I always say, I'm moving to Kamchatka! Like, I don't even know what those... They're not even real countries.
Oh, I'm going to turn the audio down on that one. Favorite superhero?
Oh, man, when I was a kid, it's kind of lame now. I'm gonna go Wolverine. I liked him so much when I was
Not
a kid.
lame.
You don't think so?
Not lame at all.
So good.
Favorite book?
Plus Hugh Jackman, Dreamboat. Yeah.
You ever seen that guy sing and dance?
Oh, the best. The best.
All 5 tools.
Hugh Jackman is everything I am not. Like handsome.
We know.
Yeah, fit. Sings, dances.
All that.
Parents would be like, oh, Hugh. My daughter brought home Hugh Jackman. Like I've hit the jackpot. Shoulder slump when you bring home Joe Caracho. It's like,
Favorite book?
Oh, man. I might go... There's a lot of good books out there, Jarrett.
Pick one.
You asked me so many hard questions.
Book you're currently reading?
Oh, none. I'm not currently into a book.
Sweet or salty?
Can I answer the book question? I'm going to go Hemingway. I'm a big Hemingway guy.
Really?
I don't know that about classic literature. Yeah. Yeah, I like Hemingway.
You and Sir Charles.
He reads it in Portuguese.
Yeah. Correct, yes.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet or salty?
Salty.
How long have you done CrossFit?
I have done it. It's funny. I have trouble remembering the year, but no, I know. It was the year that I got my first 6-string. I bought it at the 5 and Dime. Played it till my fingers bled. It was the summer of '69.
Historical person you'd like. Historical person you'd like to have coffee with.
Oh man, historical person?
Yeah, they can be alive or dead.
Can be anyone.
Yeah,
Chris Farley.
Oh, that's good. That'd be a good cup of coffee. That'd be a good.
I like to ask him a lot of questions.
Name of your first pet.
The first one we owned was the cat named Snickers. Love that cat. Great cat.
Movie you laughed the hardest.
Man, I'm gonna go Billy Madison when I was a kid. That really tickled my fancy. Still does as a grown man.
Movie you cried the hardest.
So I'm not a big movie crier. I think the one that I remember distinctly was Free Willy. My dad brought me to see Free Willy after parent-teacher night. Mm-hmm. He left a thing on my desk that was like, "You've been doing good in school, boy. We'll go see Free Willy." Cried when the kid had to say goodbye to the whale.
When he jumps over him when he's on the rocks.
Yeah, it got me.
I remember buying the tape and it had a little whale necklace. I had it when I was a kid. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, man.
Now,
early bird.
Early bird. What are your plans?
Naturally, night owl.
What are your plans for tonight?
How do you live like that?
You can't anymore. It's not a thing.
What am I? What?
What are your plans for tonight?
Big plans. I am going to pick up my daughter from daycare and make dinner and go to sleep.
It's perfect.
It's really great.
Joe, where can the good people find you on the emails, the Instagrams, the Snapbooks, any of the above? I
can be found on almost all social media, I believe. I'll be hanging out here at PUSH511 Monday, Tuesday nights, 7:30, 6 a.m. on Fridays. most Saturdays. I'm pretty much here whenever I have free time. So come on by, hang out.
That's awesome, man. Joe, thank you so very much. Have a good day, buddy.
You too, Jarrett. Oh, one last thing.
Sponsor?
Yeah. Go see Richie Rich from Warner Brothers movies out this weekend. Go see it. Bring the kids. Warner Brothers Pictures, Richie Rich. Really, really classic movie to see this weekend. This interview was brought to you by Richie Rich from Warner Brothers. Thanks, Jarrett.
Thanks, Joe.